KUAM News Headlines is presented by Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson and the Adahi Itano program. Cars Plus kick off our holidays by supporting the Make-A-Wish Jingle Rock Virtual Run. Visit the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Guam and CNMI Facebook page for details. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, always open, always local, and serving up favorites for over 40 years.
Ahead on Primetime, former police officer Mark Torrey Jr. is found not guilty in the shooting death of fellow police officer Albert Piolo. Plus, more inmates test positive for COVID at the Department of Corrections. And the Centers for Disease Control upgrades the island to Level 4, the highest risk assessment level.
Hafade and good evening, everyone. Late this afternoon in Judge Arthur Barcenas' courtroom, a jury of 12 finds former cop Mark Torrey Jr. not guilty for the 2015 homicide of fellow police officer Albert Piolo. An amended indictment charged Torrey with negligent homicide, aggravated assault, both with special allegations attached for the possession or use of a deadly weapon in the commission of a felony. This was the government's second try at convicting Torrey, and this time around the jury ultimately ruled in favor of the defense. Torrey walked out of the courtroom feeling overwhelmed.
I'm overwhelmed, very thankful, very appreciative of all the support over 5 years. Thank you.
We want to thank the jury to have sat through this long trial all these days through a pandemic with concerns about their family and their loved ones at home. They really showed that the system works. They deliberated 4 long days in this case. The system works. We are grateful to the jury. We're certainly grateful to Judge Barcenas for running a smooth ship and giving us our speedy trial.
That was Mark Torrey Jr. there with his defense counsel, Jay Ariella. Meanwhile, also outside the courtroom, the reaction to the verdict from Albert Piolo's mother, Geraldine, was one of disbelief.
Yes, we're not satisfied with this result. The verdict is so unfair. My son lost his life. He's pleading his life. And the verdict returned not guilty. What about his firearms? He owns the firearms. It's registered to him. My God. What kind of justice is this?
She then pointed upward and said, God knows, God knows. Meanwhile, turning to the latest COVID numbers from the Joint Information Center, out of 248 samples run through various clinics and labs, 73 returned positive. According to the JIC, there have been 6,549 officially reported cases, with 2,013 in active isolation and 4,430 recovered. Since March, there have been 106 COVID-related deaths, and currently the COVID area risk score is 15.7. 62 of the 92 inmates that were retested have come back positive for COVID-19. That brings the new total to 160 out of 452 prisoners, or 35% of the population of the Mangilao facility. Adriana Cotero reports.
On Friday, the Department of Corrections retested prisoners experiencing COVID-related symptoms from 2 different posts on the Manilao compound.
We've been doing close monitoring, our medical staff here. So every time, anytime one of the posts or any of the inmates or detainees start showing symptoms, we make arrangements with public health to go back and retest.
According to DOC Director Joe Carbolito, from Post 5, 20 out of 40 prisoners' results returned positive, and from Post 18, 42 out of 44 prisoners are infected with COVID.
Post 18, most likely we're going to just keep them there isolated in their posts, because there's only 2 that turned up negative. The whole population there in that post pretty much tested positive.
Keeping them in the same bubble but in separate wings. That is the department's strategy to combat the virus. Carbolito says there are 4 posts determined as hot. The remaining of the prison's posts have more mild case counts. And all of DOC remains closed off for any incoming, explains Carbolito.
Everything else is in complete lockdown. We're in high restriction mode right now. So, and we're just trying to mitigate and control this virus. And once we get back to, at least some kind of, normalcy as far as the control of this virus, then of course, that's the very first thing that I want to do is get that incoming back on track.
As for hospitalizations,
we remain at 5. So out of the 5, 3 are still at GMH and 2 were moved up to the SNU area in Barragata Heights.
And the count on personnel off duty is currently at 52, with 15 officers in home quarantine, 35 employees and 2 civilian staff with COVID in isolation. Carbolito says DOC's manpower is starting to return.
I've been doing my part myself, trying to get everybody to remain, vigilant and remain optimistic that things are going to get better. I think we're hitting rock bottom and right now, but I think I'm optimistic and confident that we're going to get through this together as a team.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Adriana Cotero.
Meanwhile, in an informational briefing Friday, Public Safety Committee Chairman Jose Pito Terlahi asked Director Carbolito for an update on the collaborative effort between corrections and public health to contain the outbreak.
We have a pandemic plan, a COVID-19 policy that's in place that mirrors what other states and Federal Bureau of Prisons is doing. This includes screening at all entry points with the use of thermometers to check temperatures for the incoming visitors and staff, and sanitation stations to wash hands before entering the facility. We implemented a mandatory use of N95 masks and gloves, which are used by all the employees. Signs are posted throughout the facility to remind employees to practice safe hygiene practices. In addition, face masks were issued to all the inmates and detainees. And we implemented a quarantine response plan, which specifically addresses the protocol of incoming arrestees as an added measure to protect our inmate and detainee population.
Carbolito says an additional post-mitigation COVID plan includes continuous monitoring and retesting. But citing concerns over the overpopulated prison, Public Defender Stephen Hattori asked about the possible early release for low-risk offenders.
The things that I would hope the legislature could do is possibly amend the statute regarding the extension of limits of confinement. What that would do is right now the director has authority under the extension of limits of confinement to allow people to go to funerals, to go to places beyond the prison gates, right? But they're required to have prison guards accompany them. But if the statute were to amend it to allow them to place people on house arrest, maybe with ankle monitoring available through the court, and these would be low-risk offenders with less than a year or to serve, and they could serve that time at home on house arrest, that would also help to reduce the population.
Carbolito says there's ongoing discussions with the judiciary on possible early release. Avoid travel to Guam. That's the upgraded warning from the Centers for Disease Control. Over the weekend, it designated our island as a level 4 area, its highest risk assessment level. Here's more. The CDC notice states that travel to Guam may increase your chance of getting and spreading COVID-19. Guam is among 180 countries at the top of a new 4-level risk assessment, level 4, which means the risk is very high. The factors include COVID case counts, new case trajectory, hospitalizations, and testing positivity rate. Governor's press secretary, Crystal Paco San Agustin.
I think that's a fair assessment, as we still have now we have over 6,000 cases. So in the long term, we still are at high risk, but until we really get down to that ideal, that strive for 5 and below, then I think they would reassess and possibly lower that designation.
The CDC designation is in contrast, though, to the administration's view that we're starting to see a downward trend. They cite the COVID area risk score devised by Dr. Felix Cabrera, which also takes into account new cases, how well testing identifies new cases, and the rate of spread.
What you saw a few weeks ago when our CARS score was in the 40s was we were putting out we had to do extraordinary measures to help manage our COVID response. We had to the Blue Med tents had to be assembled. We've had to, call on our military counterparts to help supplement or augment our staffing in the hospital. We have the New West nurses that are helping us.
The most recent CAR score was hovering at about 15. The governor's target score to further ease public restrictions is 5. In a statement, GVB Vice President Jerry Perez said they are disappointed with the designation, but understand why. He called for the need to contain the virus, saying the sooner we do this, the sooner we can get back to normal. An update on hospitalizations at the Guam Memorial Hospital. Administrator Lillian Posada says as of Monday morning, there were 43 COVID admissions. 7 patients were receiving ICU level of care. 4 were on ventilators and 7 patients are in the isolation facility at Barragata Heights. Although the COVID census has gone down, Posadas urges the community not to let their guard down. Meanwhile, she confirms the hospital has begun using antibody treatments such as bamlanivimab and convalescent plasma therapy on COVID patients.
An individual came into the emergency room, met the criteria, was given the transfusion of the antibody and discharged home, and no reaction, no adverse effects at all. We also administered the first convalescent plasma transfusion. I believe it was yesterday, and for an inpatient, and no adverse reactions. And so, yes, that's right. There's progress that, we're using these tools, hopefully to mitigate, this COVID, and to help individuals from, getting further into the acute and severe condition of the COVID.
GMAs received just 50 vials of the medication. Half were given to GRMC. 2 teachers from Mercy Heights Catholic Nursery and Kindergarten have tested positive for COVID. The Archdiocese of Agana is working with public health to coordinate testing for students who may have had close contact. The first teacher tested positive on Friday, November 20th, and was last on campus on November 16th. The second teacher notified the school today of their positive result and was with students last Friday. Mercy Heights is closed to undergo professional deep cleaning and sanitization. It is scheduled to reopen on Monday after the Thanksgiving break. To date, almost 300 contractors have been given the approval to resume construction work. All projects were shut down on November 14th because of significant COVID-19 clusters among employees of local construction companies. Public Health has been allowing companies to apply for clearance to resume work. PIO Janella Carrera.
For the most part, when we have, so those who get denied, a lot of times it's just a matter of missing documentation. Like, for example, if they didn't submit their organization-specific plan. So they'll get the initial disapproval, and it's really just a matter of submitting additional documentation. And then it becomes pending, and then they'll get approved later.
A big bulk of the approvals are for construction companies that do not have barracks or H2 workers. Meanwhile, Public Health's Rapid Engagement Team, along with the FSM Association of Guam, conducted a second deployment in Northern Guam Sunday. They mobilized to subdivisions in Piga and NCS in Dededo. RET nurses and support staff visited 3 apartment complexes in NCS and 1 subdivision in Piga. Although they were prepared to test 200 people, only 139 samples were taken and 13 returned positive. Those areas were selected because contact tracing showed they were at high risk for COVID. And Public Health is still working on the fines and penalties for businesses and people caught violating the governor's executive order. The draft rules and regulations went up for a public hearing earlier this month, and Governor's Press Secretary Crystal San Agustin says they're still working on it.
Right now, we can't actually enforce those fines until a formal process is established for individuals and for businesses to challenge those citations issued to them. So right now we're formalizing that process. We hope to have good news in the next week or so that we can make sure we have some muscle in our enforcement. And I understand that it's going to be a process that's familiar to us. It's going to be similar to what the goal is to make it something similar to a speeding ticket. You either pay your speeding ticket or you challenge it in the traffic court.
As we reported, the draft rules would impose fines for violating the social distancing directives, $100 to $1,000 for individuals and $1,000 to $10,000 for businesses. The final version might include a warning beforehand. The batching will start tonight, but the up to $1,800 payments under the Lost Wages Act aren't expected to reach unemployment claimants' accounts till early next week. Guam DOL was hoping to have the supplemental assistance out in time for Thanksgiving, but a spokesperson says they still need to request a drawdown, and because of the holiday, they're not likely to be received by Thursday. In other news, GDOL says it's still hiring for temporary maintenance workers, that's at $12.75 an hour, and contact tracing data control clerks, which pays $10.14. Check the GDOL website for more information. And heavy rain showers drenched the island today, causing deep flooding in low-lying areas. The National Weather Service issued a severe thunderstorm warning around 1 o'clock this afternoon, reporting an inch of rain was recorded and another 1 to 3 inches was expected. The NWS also issued a flash flood warning at about 3:30 p.m., especially for the southern villages of Agate, Umatic, Maritso, and Inarahan. Some roadways were closed, and caution was also advised for possible landslides in steep terrain. Public Works says it was on the scene removing debris, mostly bamboo and old tree stumps. We'll be back with more news right after this.
We value relationships because when we commit,
I love you guys until you're 80, until you're 90, until you're 100, forever.
We are in it for the long run, so you can enjoy the moments that matter. Because when we commit to relationships, we never stop caring. Calvo's Select Care, health care that is always there for you. Federal employees and annuitants enroll today.
Get going with GTA Prepaid Unlimited. It's easy to load. Simply press star 488#, send, select 2 on your screen, and then load. And with fast LTE data, you're able to quickly connect and share to your digital world. Plus, with reliable service, you're able to connect with loved ones whenever, wherever. GTA, we start with you.
It makes myself and it makes my team members very proud to work for an organization that has been on island for many years with its focus on reliability, dependability, and commitment to the communities that they operate in.
Matson's a great corporate citizen to the community.
We all benefit from any sort of environmental commitment we make. One of the ways that we do that is with our Adahi Utano program. There's action behind it, and so action breeds commitment.
With the Kaimana Hila coming to Guam, this brings a new age and modernization to the island.
It's exciting for me because it's a brand new ship and we can carry more freight into the islands. It just shows growth for Guam and Micronesia.
Matson would be nothing without its customers, and we hope to continue to serve you for decades to come.
The only way you beat 6-month-aged cheddar toasted on the shell of a chalupa is to put it in this box. The Toasted Cheddar Chalupa box is back for a limited time, only at Taco Bell.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Welcome back. Mayors of smaller villages say they should get their fair share of the street maintenance budget pie. Molesto Mayor Ernest Chargaloff says historical data shows there is a more fair way to divvy up road upkeep funds, and PD Mayor Jesse Alec says smaller villages are forced to get creative when it comes to making maintenance ends meet. Chargaloff cited the 2011 budget, which saw similar but less drastic cuts than this year's budget. He also says local law states mayors should all get at least $20,000 for street maintenance. But Council President Dedido's Melissa Savares has a different view.
If I have to compare apples and oranges, you have 1,800 residents that you need to take care of. I have 45,000. What is the disparity? We're getting 20,000 in street maintenance operations. When we had the first formula that we voted for in October, that Mayor Ernest missed that meeting. You know, if he comes to the meetings regularly, he would know what's going on.
But Mayor Chargaloff responds that it's not just about how many people are residing in a certain village, but also the area it covers.
This is not distribution by population. This is distribution by street and road mileage. Like I said, the funding already allocates for the differential. The mayor compares apples to oranges. That's exactly what you're doing.
Chargaloff says each village should get as close to the legally required $20,000 as possible before applying a percentage formula that takes into account road mileage. He says if the pie is small, each village should get as close to as equal a slice as possible. It's one of the final steps in preserving the Chamorro Land Trust Act. Senators passed to the voting file today a bill by Senator Therese Terlahi that amends the law in line with a district court settlement signed earlier this year. A federal lawsuit challenged the 1975 Chamorro Land Trust Act as discriminatory and unconstitutional. But earlier this year, Land Trust Commission attorney Michael Phillips successfully argued that it was a legal land restoration program, and the U.S. attorney agreed to a settlement. Under the terms, all references to native Chamorros are replaced with the term beneficiaries, and the term Chamorro homelands is replaced by Chamorro Land Trust property. Senator Therese Terlahi says eligibility is expanded to all those and their descendants who owned, ranched, farmed, or otherwise occupied lands that were taken.
We have seen firsthand the impact of the massive land takings on Guam's families. Too many of our families live in poverty, and decades later, without stable place to live, and their ability to use the land to provide for their families is severely disrupted.
She adds that a big debt of gratitude is owed to the many who have fought to preserve the act over the years.
It's our duty as lawmakers to safeguard the land restoration mission of the trust, to protect the trust from being raided by special interests, to manage the trust better, and to make it more conducive to thriving residences, agriculture, and cottage industries.
The amended provisions must still be signed into law by the governor. Just like other government agencies, the Guam Fire Department is working to get COVID differential payout to its firefighters. Joe Nugent-Charfras has more.
The Guam Fire Department is behind in paying out the COVID differential pay to its firefighters. As we reported almost 2 weeks ago, GFD spokesperson Kevin Riley said that it would be paying the first of 3 missed pay periods on November 13th. However, that didn't happen.
We're still processing our regular, normal payroll every 2 weeks. Employees are still getting paid. However, we are behind on the hazardous. The HAZ pay is a completely separate funding source than our regular payroll. It's a different process, a different timesheet that's used for processing that pay for the hazardous or the differential pay.
As you may recall, back in mid-March, an emergency health declaration was issued. And then at the beginning of April, Governor Luliang Guerrero signed an executive order relative to establishing a COVID-19 response differential pay policy. This is for employees working in support of the public health emergency. The differential pay was afforded to those within certain government of Guam agencies who were put at risk for potential COVID exposure. This also includes the Guam Police Department, which confirmed today that they are behind in paying out differential pay to its officers.
In addition to the payroll that DOA has to do, you're now looking at agencies that are still working during this pandemic that are entitled to this this differential pay also. And they're being swamped as well. And I understand, and we totally get it. And we understand what goes on and the process behind it. So, again, we encourage our members to be patient. And we also, want to thank DOA for pushing through and trying to get our pays, caught up in regards to everybody government-wide that is experiencing this.
Riley says it's systemic from the bottom to the top.
Some cases, we have employees that haven't filled out the timesheet correctly. Signatures are not there. We have to go back and verify. And then we have issues, of course, with pandemic staffing, with our civilian employees who process these payroll checks or these differential paychecks. And then it goes up to DOA, who also, has staffing issues because of the pandemic.
He understands that some firefighters are frustrated, but he asks that they please be patient.
Our employees are truly our frontline responders. Our guys and women are out in the field every day, risking the exposure, risking their families, and we understand that, and they are entitled to the pay and they deserve it. Being behind is unsat, and we're working to rectify the situation and make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Jonah Charfris.
In district court, 41-year-old Brian Sanchez Chan was sentenced to the maximum term of 71 months in prison and 5 years of supervised release. Chan pled guilty to possession of 50 or more grams of meth with intent to distribute. According to KUAM archives, he was arrested last September for selling to an undercover DEA task force officer. The court also noted Chan's various drug transactions amounting to a street value of $42,000. He also violated his pretrial release conditions by failing to report for drug testing and had positive cases. Chan addressed the court saying he accepted responsibility but said, quote, "It's the people on this island that influenced me, but it's my fault. I'm sorry." And now time for our weekly Fanatic Zoom Zone segment, where Dave Delgado catches up with local NFL fans about their love for the game and the predictions for the season.
Dave Delgado here with this week's Fanatic Zoom Zone. With me, August Sotelo, who's repping the Raiders. Tell us when the love for your team first started.
Started in 05-06 when I roomed it with my cousin Eddie Vergara in Sacramento. He's a Raider fan, so I fell in love with the Raiders because I see Raiders everywhere, and that's how I started liking the Raiders.
Game day traditions?
If we play early at 7 a.m., we usually go church on Saturdays. And then if they play later on Sunday afternoons, we go church Sunday mornings, and then just watch football the whole day.
Which team do you look forward to facing every season?
Oh, this season will be the Chiefs, but every season will be always the top divisional team in our division, so this year will be the Chiefs.
Top 2 all-time favorite players?
Charles Woodson will be one of them, cornerback. He's one of them. Right now, I'm going to say Marshawn Lynch just because I want my son to run like how he plays. So that's one. But currently it would be Josh Jacobs.
Primetime continues. Keep it right here.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
Are you looking to save? Here at Cars Plus, it's Black Friday every day. You'll love our entire Hyundai SUV lineup, like the 2020 Hyundai Tucson, ranked best compact SUV by J.D. Power in 2020. Drive home in your new Tucson starting as low as $158 per paycheck, equipped with Guam's only lifetime powertrain warranty. That's right, there's only one place to shop for your SUV this November. It's here at Cars Plus. Call us at 477-7807 to schedule your appointment today. Terms and conditions apply. See dealer for details.
Okay, so what are we thinking today?
I just need a trim.
Okay, well, luckily you are in great hands. Perfect.
The $1 stylist deal.
Is that it?
That's it.
Or you could get a real deal. McDonald's buy one get one for $1 deal is here. Buy one of your faves and choose another for just an extra buck. Choose from the Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pounder with cheese, and 10-piece chicken McNuggets, but only for a limited time.
Welcome back. Contact investigators have found that in many cases, COVID is caught when sharing meals. But with Thanksgiving, a celebration of congregating and giving thanks over a meal, and Guam still considered high risk, this year's traditions won't be the same. Tyler Matanani gives the breakdown on how you and your family can celebrate safely this holiday season.
This Thanksgiving, the people of Guam are asked to spread love.
Spread thanks, but do not spread COVID. When you put down your mask, you put down your guard.
The safest way to celebrate Thanksgiving this year is to celebrate with those within your household.
Adelup Press Secretary Crystal Paco San Agustin reminds the community of the governor's executive order, which permits gatherings of no more than 5 people. However, in the event you have a household smaller than 5 and you want to have someone over, be mindful that it stays under 5 people.
We encourage families to, if they have larger families, to celebrate via Zoom, to maybe drop dishes to one another in a safe way.
Families are also encouraged to do outdoor dining and to use disposable utensils and plates as preventative measures. DPHSS spokesperson Janella Carrera chimed in saying that it's during the asymptomatic phase that the virus is most easily spread.
You may feel fine and you go and visit, your friends, your family, especially during Thanksgiving, which is when people really do want to visit, their grandmother, their mother, their family members. But you may not realize you could be spreading the virus.
And although it may not be the traditional Thanksgiving, Paco San Agustin reminds the community that with the decreasing cases comes the possibility of lifted restrictions come Christmas.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel that at the end of the year, we're seeing the CAR score decrease. We're seeing hospitalization start to go on the decline. And so let's not undo that progress. Let's, stay the course. And that's why Thanksgiving, it's so important that we stay within our households. You can't stress that enough.
If you do decide to have guests over, you're urged to have safety conversations ahead of time to set expectations. Also, to disinfect frequently touched surfaces and items between use. And if you do celebrate indoors, open windows to allow proper air circulation. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matanani.
And as we mentioned, Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and if you're scratching your head trying to figure out what to fill up on, we've got some friends who might be able to help out.
With the rise in COVID cases, the CDC has recommended that people only gather with people in their households. But that doesn't mean our annual Day of Thanks has to be a bore. There are many ways to celebrate without putting yourself or others at risk. And a big part of that celebration is the food. The folks at King's Restaurant got you covered with all the classic Thanksgiving eats.
So as of now, we are offering our traditional Thanksgiving platters. Adults are $18.99, and then the kids platter is $10.99. Platter includes fresh turkey stuffing, mashed potato and gravy. You can choose mashed potato rice. It comes with ham, glazed ham, sweet yam, dinner rolls, and all that good stuff.
Dededo King's Restaurant General Manager Frank Solomon says all you have to do is call up either their Dededo or Tamuning location and pre-order for pickup on Thanksgiving Day. And no Thanksgiving meal would not be complete without desserts and pastries. A place to grab some sweet treats is Mezcla. Chef Peter Duenas says that you can place orders from now till Wednesday and after Thanksgiving and through the holidays.
We started the hot new bakery here at Mezcla in Nagania. And for that, we have the usual hot new bread items. But in addition, we added 2 holiday bread specials. One is the cranberry, cream cheese, and walnut roll. And then we also have a pumpkin spice cream cheese roll with pecans.
You can also get the classics like pumpkin pie, sweet potato pie, and the popular pear tarts, and even pumpkin spice cheesecake. Duenas says there is also an array of cookies you can order as well. Orders can be placed by calling 479-2652 or the Hot New Bread hotline at 688-BUNS. And although this year's celebration probably is not going to look like previous ones, that is absolutely okay. The most important thing to remember is that it isn't any less special and that you're safe. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Jonagan Charfris.
Birthday shoutouts are next. Don't go anywhere.
We rely on each other to be there in the good and bad times.
Parents rely on me for making sure that their kids are always in the best of their health.
The community relies on me when emergencies strike.
My
My students rely on me to move them higher in what they're learning.
Our kids rely on us to provide them with all the support they need.
For keeping us in touch every day,
For every call and schedule I receive, and for every emergency I respond to.
And with my need to respond in the timeliest manner,
to keep my knowledge updated.
For keeping us connected every day, we only rely on Docomo Pacific.
How do you top the original pan pizza from Pizza Hut? You go beyond. A new plant-based sausage so meaty you have to taste it to believe it. I see you staring. The new Beyond Pan pizzas, here for a limited time. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
Happy birthday on November 23rd to Trevin Atoigui from Nina and Nino and the rest of the family who says they love you. They also say you're a smart boy, always taking care of yourself and your brothers. We love you to the moon and back. Have a blessed and wonderful birthday. And again, we love you so much. Yeah, great guy, Trevin. Happy birthday. Olivia Madison Duenas celebrates birthday number 2, and to baby, dad, mom, and junior boy are sending their very best. Xander Joseph Unchanko celebrates birthday number 8, and to our handsome grandson who's in California, we wish you were there to celebrate with you. Please enjoy your special day, and God bless you for many more birthdays to come. We love you. Say Grammy, Papa Joe, and the rest of the family. Peyton Zablon wishing you, beautiful girl, a sweet and blessed day. May your day be filled with fun and joy. Lots of hugs and kisses from your family. And celebrating birthday number 18 is Christopher J.D. Tyrant. May the Lord continue to bless you each and every day. Love mommy and the family. Hope each and every one of you had a really good birthday. Please continue to do what's best for our community. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a fantastic Thanksgiving week.
And to be a part of the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club, just register online on KUAM.com. That's our report for tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be safe out there.